Thousands defied rains and chants for several hours in memory of the late South African apartheid icon Nelson Mandela, the man many adore for his spirit of forgiveness, even in death, united two former foes, the United States of America and Cuba, as President Obama shook hands with the president of Cuba, Raul Castro.
Let me hear you.
And don't you be afraid.
Joy comes in the morning.
Joy comes in the morning.
Can you sing it?
My name is Bright Nanamfu, and this is today's big story. It was a colorful ceremony that depicted the 2010 World Cup. The very platform Nelson Mandela made his last public appearance was the exact place where 90,000 people from across the world remembered the great man. Over 100 countries and 90 sitting and former heads of state thronged the FNB Stadium in Soweto in remembrance of Nelson Mandela. Rains or no rain, the 90,000 capacity stadium saw images of Nelson Mandela decorated all over. It was a day of music, poetry recitals, and tributes, all reminding the world of the passing away of a great man, Nelson Madiba Mandela.
Madiba Gala, the last walk, struck by lightning bolts in the dead of night, dazed and disorientated, grappling with the cauldron of emotions, struggling sinew and nerve to bid farewell to an immortal, caught in the whirlwind. What do? I bleed a poem. When sadness and celebrations commingle, the body shudders, shakes, and implodes. Ancestral winds blow memories. The land heaves dreams of a future without you, Madiba. You are lodged in our memories. You tower over the world like a comet, leaving streaks of light for us to follow. We salute you. Madiba, Gala, Gadlomo, Ganlepo, Gantande, Gamguti, Gagetule, Gambelase, Gantembi.
Oh, there's a friend in Jesus.
Who will?
Who will wipe your tears away?
If your heart is broken,
If your heart is broken,
just lift your hands.
just lift your hands and say, I know that I can make it.
I know that
I know that I can stand.
no matter
No matter what may come away, my life is in your hands.
South Africa, sing that with us. You don't have to worry.
U.S. President Barack Obama shook hands with the Cuban President Raul Castro in what has become a historic image produced at the memorial to Nelson Mandela. The image sparked a global media frenzy. Obama smiled as he shook hands with Raul Castro as he walked to the podium at the soccer city in an unprecedented move. This is the first time that the two leaders have greeted themselves publicly as the cameras captured at the official Spanish agency. The U.S. president was the first of several international leaders who have taken the word goodbye to Mandela. Now, Mandela died last Thursday. The president of Cuba, Raul Castro, and the president of Brazil, Dilma Rousseff, among others, all participated in speeches at the memorial. In a social network, Twitter, the image went viral shortly after President Obama shook hands with Raul Castro, and it was captured by the cameras. And for the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, Madiba lived a life like no other. So what was President Obama there, and what an interesting scene to behold. The man Madiba, even in death, is uniting people across the world. The United States of America and Cuba have been forced for a long time, but today U.S. President Barack Obama shook hands with Raul Castro. Let me speak to a South African journalist far away, Brandon Osei in South Africa. Brandon, thanks so much for your time. Now, the day was indeed great for South Africa in remembrance of Mandela. How would you describe the memorial service?
Well, thank you for having me again on the show. The memorial service, obviously, today was in honor of Nelson Mandela. And it was an incredible sight to see all of the world leaders from so many different countries drop everything in their packed schedules, especially at this time of the year, to come through to celebrate the memory of Nelson Mandela. And I think overall, South Africans saw it as a very kind gesture for a man that we all hold very, very dearly.
Let me quickly touch on this before I come back to some other issues. Now, the speech of the president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, attracted a lot of boos and jeers from the Park Stadium. Now, anytime he was shown on a giant screen, South Africans booed and jeered at Jacob Zuma. Is it showing childishness on the part of South Africans to the rest of the world?
Well, obviously, people are emotional at the moment, and obviously, the emotions are being transferred to other elements of government and power. Obviously, South Africans were not excited to see President Jacob Zuma today.
And would you say that perhaps the boos and jeers depict the frustrations of the people of South Africa with the rule of Jacob Zuma?
Well, I think the person that we celebrated today, Mr. Nelson Mandela, represented something completely different. It was a man who gave so much of himself, gave so much of his money and time away. And over the last few months, Jacob Zuma has been growing very, very unpopular based on lavish expenditure in places like his home in Krankla, massive taxpayer money going to those expenses that a man like Nelson Mandela would never have allowed.
Now, quickly, let's come back to the ceremony itself. A lot of world leaders, a lot of former world leaders, and depicting what Mandela stood for. How should this reflect in the social lives of South Africans in remembrance of Mandela?
Please repeat the question.
I'm asking that we saw a lot of world leaders there, former world leaders, all there in remembrance of Mandela. And we heard the speeches that were read, asking the whole world to live the life that Mandela lived. Now, how should this reflect in the social life of South Africans in remembrance of Mandela?
Well, obviously a lot of things were said today, and a lot of people had interpreted Nelson Mandela in a certain way. Obviously, I think that the messages of Nelson Mandela have always been kindness and patience. And those are the messages that we need to take away from today, really, is look at what can be achieved if you set your minds to it, and do it with kindness and do it with patience.
Now, the memorial service, in terms of organization, what we have seen so far after the passing on of Mandela shows great work. Just a few days after he passed away, a memorial service well planned, well executed. The level of preparedness of South Africa. Tomorrow, the celebration of the life of the man continues. What is happening tomorrow, Thursday and Friday?
Well, I can tell you this, and it comes from quite a reliable source, that the funeral has been planned for years and years. And every Thursday in Pretoria, a meeting is held over the planning for this funeral. So it is something that we knew there was an eventuality at Nelson Mandela's funeral, and people had planned very, very stringently for this. So we were prepared for the funeral. As for the rest of the state funeral that Nelson Mandela will receive, over the next 3 days he lies in state, meaning that politicians, friends, family, and the general public are able to go and view Nelson Mandela's remains in Pretoria at the Union Building. And then he will be flown to Kunu in the Eastern Cape. That's where I currently am now, where he will be put to rest.
And so you are in Mandela's ancestral hometown now?
Yes, exactly.
That's Kunu.
I came to see the ancestral hometown for a report.
And how ready are the people to receive the delegation, the large number of people who will be there on Sunday for the burial service?
Well, to be honest with you, I think the Sunday service will be a much smaller and more dignified event. The service that took place today was a public one, and I'm hoping that the send-off that we give our greatest leader is maybe quieter and more in keeping with who the man was.
Brandon, thanks so much for speaking to me from Kunu. That's the ancestral home of Nelson Mandela. But let me go to Johannesburg. Toba Chapi is there, a South African journalist. Now, Chapi, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Now, just a few hours after the memorial service, how is Johannesburg looking like?
Very wet. It's been raining literally since people woke up. The general public prepared to go to FNB Stadium for the memorial service. Right now, a lot of people have been trying to leave the stadium. There had been a few logistical problems, as you might understand in a situation like this. I mean, getting people from the stadium, it was an issue getting people to the stadium. It's a big issue. People from the stadium to set them in their vehicles so that they can get to their homes. So we're hoping those people have to get home. There have been some breakdowns with some of the trains, but we do understand that the operation is clear.
So the celebration of the life of Mandela would continue even after the memorial service this morning?
I beg your pardon?
I'm asking that the celebration will leave the FNB Stadium, but perhaps in homes and in some societies, yes, it will continue.
Yes, I mean, people who left the stadium, I mean, people, it was being spoken about in the buses, what happened today is spoken about in people's homes. I mean, during supper, when people eat, we are talking about it, and we are still celebrating the life of Nelson Mandela. People are still going to his Gauteng home, his Soweto home, taking flowers, just going to sing and cheer the life of Nelson Mandela. I mean, it's going to continue even. The funeral is going to continue even after the funeral. People are still going to go on, and that's so important. The love for man.
We're told that the body will lie in state at the Union Building. Do you see signs that we'll have a massive number of people moving to Pretoria to perhaps pay their last respect to Nelson Mandela?
Yes. It's one thing to go go to Nelson Mandela's home and leave flowers and the card behind, or maybe even go to the memorial service. But a lot of people would also feel that, especially people who haven't seen Nelson Mandela one day, one time, they probably feel that it's important for them to go to the Union buildings in Pretoria to see the remains of Nelson Mandela. So there are going to be a lot of people who will want to go to see. But it's going to be very controlled, and only a certain amount of people will be led will be given the privilege to see the
Toba Chappie, thanks so much for speaking to us from Johannesburg in South Africa. Memorial service for Mandela, well attended. 90,000 people filled the stadium. But most exciting, the President of the United States decided or shook hands of the President of Cuba, Raul Castro. And of course, that particular picture has gone viral on social media. A lot of questions being asked. Is this the beginning of the thawing of the relationship between the United States and Cuba? Professor Keith Bluey is an international relations expert. He's just joined me on phone. Prof, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, the President of the United States of America shook in the hands of Raul Castro of Cuba. Can we say that perhaps this is the beginning of better relations between Cuba and the United States?
Well, it could be, it may not. You see, in diplomacy, a lot of things happen. A lot of personalities come into play. Many of the things that happen reflect the personality of the individual concerned. You know, President Obama is somebody, a liberal, a person who says he wants to stop all wars and not start a new one. And he is open to everybody. So it could very well be that this meeting afforded him an opportunity to re-emphasize his position to Cuba that, look, I'm prepared, I'm open to you, I'm prepared to meet with you without preconditions if you are also prepared to meet with me without preconditions. It could be. On the other hand, we know that Cuba itself has all along been looking out for an opportunity to make the United States end the embargo. Yes. So it could very well be that this will mark a new beginning in their relations. But at the same time, it is, I think, a little advice for us to read too much meaning into this. You see, look at the atmosphere, look at the situation in which they met. A world funeral, which has brought so many people together in grief and to pay tribute to the legacy of a peace-loving person. And then right there, you will turn away from a person who stretches a hand of greetings to you. I mean, it will be at the height of indecency. And nobody will pardon you. Even your own countrymen will not pardon you for embarrassing them. You see, you will know that even there, I think you took note of the fact that Winnie Mandela, the estranged wife of, the divorced wife of Nelson Mandela, walked right up to Gaka Michelle, and kissed her, exchanged deep kiss with her. I mean, we are all comrades in sorrow, meeting. See, the situation there didn't permit of anybody showing a sense of rejection or anger towards another person. It's all smiles, goodwill, and, you know, that's it. So, in that case, it would be wrong for us to read too much meaning and say that, oh, this marks the beginning of a rapprochement. I do not think, and that is my position, I do not think that what happened between the Cuban leader and the American leader is anything significant at all. Barack Obama is not going to lift sanctions tomorrow, not even the next day, not even next month. And their relations are going to continue that way for some time, at least.
And so
I think, excuse me, I think what has happened is simply courtesy. Courtesy, social decorum, that's all.
Simply
And
done for...
I think that we should leave it at that and not... That otherwise we will look awkward and naive if we begin to say, hey, this man is supposed to read any meaning into this at all. For me, it's nothing.
Right, but you said earlier that the American leader has been talking about embracing all, and so perhaps this is the first opportunity.
He did not embrace the Cuban leader. They just exchanged handshake. I saw it myself.
Right. I'm referring to your earlier statement that the American leader, since he became the president of the United States, has been talking about going down on war and getting everyone on board in terms of diplomacy. So perhaps this is the opportunity for him to begin to do something.
Please, let's wait for 2 weeks and see what changes will begin to be announced, whether some announcements will begin to flow. If you talk to anybody in our foreign ministry, will tell you this is just courtesy, ordinary courtesy. And you see, somebody put this same question to me today, and he even reminded me that Israel stayed away. And I said, exactly, precisely so, because Israel doesn't want to be embarrassed. Israel doesn't want to come to a place like this and have to meet some of their foes, people they are not prepared to shake hands with. Because this is a place for shaking hands, for wishing each other well, and so on. Not for looking awful and crude, you see.
Raul Castro.
So I think we are reading too much into
meaning into what happened there.
Too much meaning into this. Please.
Right, but
let's wait for the next 2 weeks and see.
Let me pick your brains on this. Raul Castro is embarking on some reforms, and so perhaps beginning to crash communism in Cuba. Do you think that the Americans should take a second look at its embargo on Cuba?
Because of the death of Mandela?
No, not exactly. At least we have seen Raul Castro.
The Americans have all along been reviewing this policy. America is not a static society. They keep reviewing their policies. They know, everybody knows that communism, Marxism communism is dead. There are only ghosts of it here and there. But real communism, everybody knows that it has not been successful. It failed in the Soviet Union, and even China is moving away from it gradually. Okay, so what is it? But the American grudge against Cuba, although it arose from the Cuba's option for communism, goes beyond that, because Cubans have lost Americans have lost property there. American lives have been lost, and they are in no mood to forgive and forget the kind of message that Mandela was preaching to us today. Okay, but I think it will be a matter of time. Sooner than later, a change will come, because unlike the past, Cuba was boasting, was talking back at America, boasting that we have withstood your challenge and all, we call your bluff and all that. Now it is no more possible. Cuba is actually throwing in the towel.
Right.
And America has at various times softened it a bit when they did with them, and sometimes they allow Americans to go, they give them increased quota to send money home. I mean, just to tease their friends who are still on the island there. That look, there's better life here and that kind of thing.
Right.
You see, I don't think that the time has come yet for a rapprochement between the United States and Cuba. Because they went through a lot. You remember from the Bay of Peace to the Cuban Missile Crisis and all that. I mean, these two countries have had confrontation, call it unprecedented confrontation between a big power and a small one, counting a big one.
Right.
So it's not a matter that I think can end tomorrow or next tomorrow.
Right. Prof, thanks so much for giving us your thought on this particular issue. And of course, more to come on that particular memorial service. President Barack Obama says that Nelson Mandela lived like no other. Let's hear what President Obama said about the man who will be buried next Sunday.
Mandela taught us the power of action, but he also taught us the power of ideas, the importance of reason and arguments, the need to study not only those who you agree with, but also those who you don't agree with. He understood that ideas cannot be contained by prison walls or extinguished by a sniper's bullet. He turned his trial into an indictment of apartheid because of his eloquence and his passion, but also because of his training as an advocate. It took a man like Madiba to free not just the prisoner, but the jailer as well. To show that you must trust others so that they may trust you. To teach that reconciliation is not a matter of ignoring a cruel past, but a means of confronting it with inclusion and generosity and truth. He changed laws, but he also changed hearts. For the people of South Africa, for those he inspired around the globe, Madiba's passing is rightly a time of mourning and a time to celebrate a heroic life. But I believe it should also prompt in each of us a time for self-reflection. With honesty, regardless of our station or our circumstance, we must ask, how well have I applied his lessons in my own life? It's a question I ask myself as a man and as a president. We will never see the likes of Nelson Mandela again. But let me say to the young people of Africa and the young people around the world, you too can make his life work your own.
And of course, President Barack Obama there, that speech reminded the whole world of what the man Mandela stood for. The first part of today's big story just gone by. We'll have the second part, the part that is for the interactive segment. You get to us and we get to you. Marianne is joining me. Stay there. I'm coming back in a moment. Right, so welcome back to today's big story. Time now to do a lot more interaction with you out there. And a great day for Africa as a memorial service held for Nelson Mandela. And Marianne is here. Welcome. And I'm sure you watched what was on TV today.
I did.
Whole lot. Over 90 heads of state there in South Africa. Great remembrance for Mandela.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And he's a true son of Africa.
Exactly.
So it is befitting that we all mourn him and celebrate his life like that.
What's trending?
What is trending is that I remember last week, if you remember, we featured a story about the Mampong School of the Deaf.
Right.
Exactly. That was my colleague Yajim Fuafusu went and uncovered that story, and then she brought it back, and we thought the story has to be seen by someone, and someone has to do something about it. So just the same day the story aired, we got a call from Airtel Ghana who was saying, okay, we are willing
to help.
To help them. So today they went there to donate a generator set, pay their rent, and also pay an extra year for them. So we are actually celebrating that.
Exactly. Welcome, Marian, to the show.
Thank you so much. Let's get interactive. My name is Marian Toure. Welcome back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you are at the right place at the right time. This is JN Interactive within today's big story. And we have a very big one if you haven't heard it already. But let me announce all the social media tools that you need to get in touch with the show. Please, you will find us at facebook.com/joynews-on-TV. Go and like our page, comment on all the posts we put there, and we'll do well to share them with the rest of the world. We tweet at joynews-on-TV. Remember to use the hashtag JNInteractiveGH, so we'll be able to sort everything out and take them all at once. Our email is joynewsim@multitvworld.com. The WhatsApp number, as always, 0260-518-801. I am on Twitter too, and I tweet at MN Toure. And this is where tech meets news to set the agenda. So last week, my colleague Jim covered a story about the Mampong School for the Deaf, and we featured it here on JN Interactive. And Airtel Ghana has settled the 14,000 Ghana cedi rent owed by the Senior High Technical School for the Deaf, which left them threatened of eviction. They also donated a 10-kilowatt generator to the school and also paid an extra year's rent for the school, so at least they can heave a sigh of relief. And the acting headmaster of the school, who is Nathan Depeku, and the entire school were grateful for the gesture and described it as a Christmas present. The school may have had one problem solved, at least for a couple of years. So we are all excited that at least we have had some results for the school. This is what you, the audience on JN Interactive, also do to us. Your comments, your feedback actually move people to also do something. And so Airtel Ghana has come on board to extend a hand, support, some love to these people, especially at this time that we're celebrating Christmas. It's the time for sharing, loving and caring anyway. And so they are all excited. In our first video blog, we will give you something. It's almost poetic, to see an overwhelmed headmaster talking to us. Let's take our first video blog.
Sometimes we dream. Dreams don't come true. But there are times we dream and they are realized. Our joy is being fulfilled through the help of various people who have been touched by our brief remark on our plight. I want on this occasion to thank everyone who has made any effort in reaching Airtel to get us where we are now. We say a big thank you because this has given us a sure relief and a greater relief for the months to come. We will now be able to do our administrative business and our academic work. Our students who normally use sign language and who cannot communicate in the dark when there's power off can now have a 24-hour opportunity to communicate. We believe that the gesture will touch others to come over and help us in other ways where we are lacking. Thank you, and God bless you richly.
Towards me. So that is an overwhelmed head teacher, sounding almost poetic in that one. And I have with me Donald Jura. He is the head of corporate communications and external affairs at Airtel Ghana. He's here to talk to us. Hello, Donald.
Hello, Marian. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
And I guess we have to say thank you so much for the gesture. But I'd like to find out.
I'd like to thank you for bringing out the story.
Exactly. That was the first question I was going to ask. How did you even hear about it?
We heard it through from your from Joy.
Yeah.
And from through your other stations.
The other stations, okay. And then you decided to. So I am sure you have many other lives that you could be touching at this particular moment. But why did you choose the Mampong School for the Deaf?
It's about enriching our communities in which we operate. It's about touching the lives of people who are underprivileged. We heard the story on your network that the school needed support. And we said for rent that is due them, rent that is overdue over I think 2 or 3 years. And we have this program within the office called MAD that is making a difference, where staff who have know of any CSR or any initiative outside Airtel can bring it to our attention, and we will consider it. So we had it on Joy. One of our staff picked it up, brought it to our attention, and we said, why not? Helping the school, it's in line with our values of making an impact, our values of empowerment, and making it happen. We quickly mobilized, got the check ready, drove to the school with the support of other media to the school. We handed over the check, the dummy check and the real check to the school. So that they're not left in the lurch. We also am committed to pay another 1 year's rent so that they have 1 year to mobilize and sort themselves out. And also a 10 kVA generator. So then in terms of what we call dooms or they'll be able to study and understand. The school or people with hearing impairments, they're not hopeless. They're not useless. These are the future leaders of our country. And if it's because of rent that they can't afford to pay, and because of that they're going to get thrown out of the school, we're having sad that we couldn't even do much more. But at least this is the first start.
But that brings me to my next question. Airtel Ghana is a huge company. You have a global presence, and so what you have done today, although we laud it, we would say that it's just a drop in the ocean.
It's not a drop in the ocean. We also have another initiative called Touching Lives, and this is the 3rd season. We've done it 2 times already. And basically, Touching Lives is about people who are doing good in their communities, people, groups. And we just had a call for entry that if you know of anybody across Ghana that is helping someone to uplift them from somewhere lower to somewhere higher, let us know. You don't have to be on the Airtel network that you use the Airtel. No, any Ghanaian, anybody that you know, send the information to us in under 1,000 words. Send it to, we have deposit boxes in all our shops across the country, all our distributors. Drop it in. Airtel will review it with journalists and other stakeholders, and we'll select. And this year we're doing 24.
Right.
Radio and TV. And we'll go out there and support all the different groups, or depending on what kind of stories we get.
Okay, although you have helped the Mampon School, so if I find that, okay, I would like more support for them, am I still allowed to enter for them and say, okay, you have done something for them, but I want something more, so I want to do as part of Touching Lives, so I want you to
can enter it, yes.
Okay, okay.
You can enter it, make sure it's under 1,000 words. If the judges and all the judges read and think it's another very good, laudable thing, we'll go ahead. In fact, during the program this morning, one of the girls, can't remember her name, she was a Touching Lives 1 beneficiary.
Right.
I think she's visually impaired and she's hearing impaired.
Impaired as well, yes. I saw it in the visuals, yeah.
And then, 2 years or 3 years down the line, we see her still in school, still making progress. I think she wants to be a lawyer now.
Wow. Fantastic. But before you go, what other plans do you have for the school besides what you've done so far? Do you have any other extended plans that you have for them?
For now, this is what we have, and let's see how things progress.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We are very grateful for that.
Thank you.
And that was Mr. Donald Jura, who is Communications and External Affairs Manager for Airtel Ghana, talking to us there. We'll go and take our last video blog, and then I'll come and take some comments from you. And in this one, I mean, the kids, they are awesome. I'll spare everything, but just take a look at this.
Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know, he holds the future. And life is worth a living just because he lives.
They wanna see you rising. And when they do, they don't even like it. They just wanna see you deep in crisis. Drive yourself, you don't need the license. Now let me show you the latest. Walk over the pages. What you do, that's what you do. Now watch me do my zone. Now watch me do my zone. Now watch me do my zone.
I was thoroughly entertained, and there's so much more of that which will be coming up in News at 8 with Israel Lai about this story. But if you missed it all, last week my colleague Yajimfi covered a story about the Mampon School for the Deaf, and which we featured here on JN Interactive last week. Airtel Ghana got wind of it. They got in touch with us, and they have been there to settle the 14,000 Ghana cedi rent owed the senior technical school for the deaf, which nearly left them evicted. They also donated a 10 kilovolts generator to the school and also paid an extra 1 year's rent for the school. So we are indeed grateful to Airtel Ghana for touching the lives of these students, and we wish them all the best. If they are watching we are thrilled for you, and we are hoping that a lot more people will come on board, to help. This is what we should be doing for each other, helping each other out. And so if you are there and if you're also watching, it's not too late, you haven't missed out. You can also come on board and help the school. And before we go, I think I'd like to end with the headmaster's, his opening line. It was almost poetic that I don't want us to go without it. So let's just take a listen to it. Brightanfo will join me so we can wrap up the show together.
Sometimes we dream. Dreams don't come true. But there are times we dream and they are realized. Our joy is being fulfilled through the help of various people who have been touched by our brief remark on our plight. I want on this occasion to thank everyone who has made any effort in reaching Airtel to get us where we are now. We say a big thank you because this has given us a sure relief and a greater relief for the months to come. We will now be able to do our administrative business and our academic work. Our students who normally use sign language and who cannot communicate in the dark when there's power off can now have a 24-hour opportunity to communicate. We believe that the gesture will touch others to come over and help us in other ways where we are lacking. Thank you, and God bless you richly.
And indeed, there is more to do. This is only the beginning, and we are hoping that corporate organizations and even individuals who have the power to do so will go to their aid. Bright is back. What do you think about this?
Great. Thank you to Airtel, and I'm sure they will go back. Remember you used to talk about Oliver asking for more.
Exactly.
If I were the headmaster, I would just speak directly to Airtel and say, please come back perhaps during Christmas.
I'm sure he said that, but not in so many words. And there are a few other people who also echoed that. But, this Christmas season, what are you doing? What are you giving back?
A lot. I'll tell you later after the show. Right. At 8 o'clock, we'll tell you what is happening at Accra Commercial Court. Of course, the battle was on, and the court ruled on the capacity of Andrew Awuni to legally intervene in the takeover of Merchant by 14th Equity Fund. The executive director of the Center for Freedom and Accuracy has sued the Social Security and National Insurance Trust and 12 others in an attempt to stop the transaction because he says the state is not getting the best deal. We'll have more on this at 8 o'clock.
And also to come up with Israel Liar news at 8 today, Parliament has refuted allegations containing recent media reports that MPs have been bribed with mobile phones. The leadership of the House, led by the Speaker, vehemently described the allegations as false and urged that they correct the reports. The issue was raised on the floor by a ranking member of the House and MP for Kwesimintim, who asked the Speaker to intervene.
Thanks so much for staying here for us. We're back at exactly 7 p.m. We'll have Joy News exclusive. But at 8 o'clock, I'm Major News Bulletin. My name is Bright.
And I am Marian Ture. Do enjoy the rest of our programming.